about from the civil aspect and what is deserving of child protection where perhaps parents haven't adequately cared for their children in certain ways. There's a whole different list of categories that could include mental abuse or emotional abuse or actual physical abuse. The definitions there are different and significantly broader, I guess I would say. But we've got really, really high level of training with our social workers and investigators and our attorney staff as to what is an appropriate type of abuse that warrants the system intervening to protect this child. And so I think we're getting better at that, but there is no bright line that says this is or this isn't child abuse. And in the end, as far as what happens in my office, I am the final one to make a decision. I usually don't have to play that card because my staff is very good. But in the end, it is my responsibility.
And then you still have to go to a judge, and the judge has to sign off on it.
Absolutely.
Well,
that's where we get back into this, that the judge is the final arbiter, I guess you'd say, of what is and what isn't abuse.
Well, and then the legislature gets involved periodically. We had this case, was it 2 years ago, I think, that young boy died. Was it a foster home, I think, or something? Yeah. And I think the legislature came back and changed some of the laws on that,
and that has created quite a change in our work. So they created this task force. The task force came out with 90-some recommendations, and among those were a difference. They changed the definition of how the Child Protection Agency investigates cases, whether it's an investigation or whether it's an assessment, which means nothing to most people. But an investigation has to occur within 24 hours. An assessment can be done within 5 days. But there's different categories, and that's what they did is they mashed up all these categories and just created all sorts of work. For example, one change was that any person that was a convicted sex offender, it was almost considered per se child abuse for that sex offender to be around children. So if somebody had been convicted of a sex offense and was living with a significant other who had children, that was almost a per se child abuse for the significant other.
Even if nothing happened?
Even if nothing happened. And they were going to require that to be an investigation, requiring social services to act within 24 hours. And I mean, there's 15,000 sex offenders in the state. I mean, you can imagine some of those have legitimate relationships. They have been treated and they are safe to be in our community, but all of a sudden we're requiring these investigations. So sometimes we go ditch on some of this stuff. But those are the types of things that came out of this task force that really changed the way our office works.